the genius they tried to silence, from classroom ridicule to NASA recognition. The late afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows of Hillcrest Academy's advanced physics classroom. Dust particles danced in the golden light like distant stars, floating silently above polished desks and whiteboards lined with complex equations. 16-year-old Malik Carter sat in the second row, his worn spiral notebook open to pages filled with equations, diagrams, and scribbled ideas about theoretical physics. As one of the only black students at this elite STEM-focused school, Malik stood out not for his race alone, but for the quiet intensity in his eyes and his unrelenting passion for astrophysics. And that concludes our unit on Einstein's field equations. Mr. Alan Prescott, the silver-haired physics teacher, declared as he snapped shut the textbook. Adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses, he surveyed the room like a scholar atop his throne. Any questions before we move on? Malik raised his hand, heart pounding. Yes, Mr. Carter, Prescott replied with barely veiled impatience. Malik stood. I've been working on extension of Einstein's equations, particularly as they apply to theoretical wormhole stabilization, he said, his voice firm despite the tremble in his chest. I've written a paper and would really value your opinion. Prescott arched an eyebrow. Wormhole stabilization? That's ambitious for a high school junior. I've been studying the field independently for a couple of years, Malik said, pulling a neatly printed packet from his backpack. My hypothesis explores the use of negative energy density to counteract space-time instability. Let me see this groundbreaking theory, Prescott said with a cold smile, stretching out his hand. Malik walked to the front and placed the paper, his pride, his passion, into the hands of a man he still, deep down, respected. For the past 3 months, he had poured every free hour into crafting that theory, late nights, missed outings, and endless calculations. Prescott flipped through the paper, his expression shifting from confusion to amusement. He gave a condescending chuckle. Mr. Carter, he said, holding the paper aloft as though it might bite him. While your enthusiasm is admirable, this is frankly science fiction. Malik froze. If you'd look at the calculations on page. I've looked quite enough, Prescott cut in, raising his voice so the entire class could hear. You've made fundamental errors. This theory shows a deep misunderstanding of quantum gravity. The energy requirements would be astronomically impossible. Laughter rippled through the classroom. Malik stood frozen as 23 pairs of eyes turned toward him. Someone muttered, "Who does he think he is? Neil deGrasse Tyson?" Prescott wasn't finished. Wormholes belong in movies, Mr. Carter, not real science. You'd be better served mastering basic mechanics before trying to rewrite the universe. More laughter. Malik's face burned. May I have my paper back? He asked softly. I think I'll keep this, Prescott said, placing the paper on his desk with mock care. As a reminder to the class about the importance of mathematical rigor, Malik returned to his seat. His friend Noah Lee gave him a sympathetic glance, but Malik couldn't meet his eyes. He didn't hear another word for the rest of the period. After class, Noah caught up with him in the hallway. Prescott's a jerk. Don't let him get to you. He doesn't do that to everyone, Malik said, gesturing toward Blake Stanford, a white student whose father sat on the school board. Prescott had praised Blake's mediocre report on pendulums like it was Nobel-worthy. But something inside Malik hardened that day. Prescott might have mocked his work, but Malik knew something his teacher didn't. The math worked, and he was going to prove it. 3 weeks later, Malik stood outside the science department office, clutching a revised copy of his paper. The Hillcrest Regional Science Symposium was the biggest event of the year, judged by college professors, engineers, even researchers from NASA and CERN. He was cutting it close. The deadline was 4 p.m. You're really submitting it? Noah asked, leaning against the wall. Especially after what Prescott said, Malik replied. What Malik didn't say was that he'd discovered Prescott chaired the selection committee. But the rules required anonymous review. Theoretically, Prescott wouldn't know whose work he was judging. Ms. Celeste Graham, the astronomy club advisor, greeted them with a warm smile. Sliding in right at the wire, huh? Malik handed her his paper. It's completely revised, he explained. I fixed the energy density issues and the quantum fluctuation models. The math checks out now. MS. Graham nodded and placed the paper in the submission stack. Selections will be announced in 2 weeks. Malik felt lighter as he left the office. Maybe, just maybe, his theory would be judged on its merit. 2 weeks passed like molasses. On announcement day, Malik and Noah refreshed the school website every few minutes. And then the list appeared. Blake Stanford, Jenna Patel, Kevin Sullivan, but not Malik Carter. Out of 30 submissions, 15 were selected. He felt like he'd been punched in the gut. I guess it wasn't good enough, he mumbled. But that didn't sit right. He had double-checked every calculation, addressed every critique. Later that day, he went to find MS. Graham, my paper wasn't selected. I know, she said, looking deeply regretful, because it never reached the committee. Malik's breath caught. What do you mean? Prescott pulled it. He screens papers before they're anonymized. Said yours didn't meet scientific standards. Malik reeled. He hadn't just been rejected. He'd been silenced before the review even began. I read your paper, MS. Graham said softly. Your math is solid. Your approach deserves exploration, not dismissal. She paused. Come to astronomy club tomorrow. I have an idea. The next day, MS. Graham introduced Malik to a platform called the Quantum Horizon Forum, a peer-reviewed, anonymous space where physicists submitted unconventional theories without fear of bias. They only see the math, she said. Not your age, not your skin color. Over the next 2 weeks, Malik reformatted his paper with MS. Graham's help. He stayed up late, tweaking sections and revising equations. He submitted the paper under a pseudonym, MC. Orion. Halfway across the country, at 2:37 a.m., Dr. Maya Williams, senior astrophysicist at NASA's Theoretical Propulsion Division, opened a new submission on the Quantum Horizon Forum. The title caught her eye. Microscopic wormhole stabilization through quantum entanglement of virtual particles. She expected graduate-level nonsense. Instead, she found mathematical brilliance. By the next day, Dr. Williams had shared the paper with her team. Within a week, it was the most discussed theory on the forum. We need to contact this Orion, her director said, but the author hadn't revealed their identity. Meanwhile, Malik remained unaware of the storm his paper had stirred. At school, Prescott continued treating him like a ghost. At home, things weren't much better. His dad had lost his job due to transit layoffs, and finances were getting tight. Malik picked up a weekend job to help out, but he couldn't let go of the paper. Then, one night, an email appeared. From Dr. Maya Williams, NASA, to MC. Orion. We are interested in discussing your paper further. Please reach out. Malik stared at the screen, barely breathing. NASA wanted to talk to him. He forwarded the email to MS. Graham. Her response. You need to reply. Immediately. The video call with NASA was scheduled for a Friday afternoon. Malik wore his best shirt and tie. The school insisted the meeting be held in the main conference room, with Mr. Prescott present. Dr. Williams and her colleagues joined the call, asking detailed questions about Malik's theory. Malik, though nervous, explained every aspect clearly. Halfway through the call, Dr. Williams said, Your understanding of entanglement applications is remarkable. Where did you learn this? Before Malik could answer, Prescott jumped in. We provide advanced resources here at Hillcrest. I've mentored Malik closely. Dr. Williams wasn't fooled. Let's hear from Malik. I'm mostly self-taught, Malik said calmly. My family couldn't afford special programs. I studied with library books, MIT lectures, and online materials. Silence. Then, even more impressive, Dr. Williams replied. By the end of the call, she offered Malik a formal invitation to NASA's Youth Innovation Program, a year-long mentorship with real researchers. Then came the bombshell. We'd also like you to present your paper at next month's NASA symposium, she said. Even Prescott couldn't hide his shock. The news went viral. Malik was on local TV, in newspapers, on blogs. Hillcrest Academy was quick to claim credit. Prescott suddenly referred to himself as Malik's mentor. But Malik knew the truth, and so did MS. Graham. Months later, Malik stood at a podium at NASA, delivering his presentation to a room filled with elite scientists. His parents watched, eyes misty with pride. His voice was steady. His theory, once mocked as science fiction, was now sparking real research. Dr. Prescott showed up at the symposium, awkward and quiet. After the talk, he approached Malik. "I may have been hasty," he admitted. "Your theory has merit. I've studied it. You were right." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was enough. Later, Malik received a text from MS. "Graham, you didn't just prove him wrong. You opened the door for everyone he would have silenced next." And that, Malik realized, was the real victory.